All right. Nick Hughes, glad to have you on the podcast, man.
I'm pumped, man. Ever since you talked about this, I've been excited that you mentioned me being on here. So thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Been looking forward to this for a while. So, you've gone through a lot of crazy stuff in your life and had a lot of crazy adventures. I'm excited to kind of dig into all that. But let's go back to where it all started in California. What was like for you when you were a kid, and what kind of kid were you?
Yeah, man. It's when you ask that question, it's like, okay, the life of just living in growing up in California, and then the life of the chaos and the uncertainty and the broken family system that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's two parallel lines there of growing up in California, but then also growing up and making it out of a pretty chaotic, difficult upbringing. Mm-hmm. So growing up in California was great. The weather was always awesome. You never had to check the weather on your phone or anything like that. You had to check traffic. That was it.
You had to learn how the weather app worked when you moved to Mississippi, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. I never thought you didn't carry umbrellas. You didn't put them in a car.
Right.
Nothing like that. So the weather's always beautiful in California. There's always something to do. If you want, you can have an adventure every single day. It's true, and I've yet to do it, but you can surf and you can snowboard in the same day if you really wanted to. So growing up in California was awesome, man. Having a twin brother, an identical twin brother, was a built-in best friend, confidant, all the things. We were all the things for one another. So that was great. Sports were a big part of my life growing up. Started playing football at the age of 9, started playing baseball at the age of 9. Football really stuck. I loved the training aspect and the physicality of the sport. Mm-hmm. So Nate and I both loved football, played in high school, played a little bit in college, gave it up after 2 years when I realized I didn't want to be a big heavy set dude that wasn't getting scholarship money to play anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, California was a dream, but I'm glad that I got to experience it and I got to live there, and I love visiting now. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it'd be a place I'd want to live now unless I was right on the coast and had a job that paid me a lot of money to afford it. Mm-hmm. But I'm super thankful to be where I'm at today. So yeah, man. And then growing up, just lots of uncertainty, lots of chaos. Didn't know our dad growing up. He popped in and out of the picture a little bit when we were really young. So my mom lost her house when we were 9 years old. So we were in the 4th grade, and in elementary school, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, we'd get called up to the office and someone would interview us and they'd say, "Hey, where'd you have dinner last night? Who made you dinner?" And we were like, is this a trick question? I don't know how I'm supposed to answer this.
Yeah.
And didn't realize that Child Protective Services was interviewing us to see if our mom was fit to take care of us. And she probably wasn't. So she lost her house when we were 9 years old. We were already registered to go into the court system to be put into CPS, and an uncle stepped in to take care of us, and he was an ex-felon, convict, former drug addict, the meanest, most stern dude I've ever met in my entire life. The moment we walked through his door, he said, "Get on the ground and show me how many push-ups you can do."
Wow.
Yeah, and I could only do 6 as a 9-year-old, 6 push-ups. And in 6th grade, they do a fitness test in elementary school, and I got to where I could do 50 at one time, unbroken.
Wow.
Good reps. Mm-hmm. No cheating.
Full range of motion.
Yeah, dude, full range of motion. I mean, we'd be in our bedroom, and he'd just call us out in the living room and say, "Hey, leg lifts and push-ups. Right now.
Really?
10 push-ups, turn over, do leg lifts for a minute." And then on the last leg lift, whoever beat the other person got $5.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, dude. If we wanted 30 minutes of video games, we had to be outside for an hour.
Really?
Yeah, so we just sit outside and pick grass for an hour to get our 30 minutes on the video game system, dude. Yeah, he instilled some discipline and some fear into two little dudes that needed it, man.
So when you found out you're going to go live with your uncle, you said?
Yeah.
What was that like for you and your brother?
Man, we were devastated because he was the uncle that was the mean uncle, the uncle that didn't let you get away with anything. And we had our nanny, our motherly figure. My mom had to have 3 paternity tests to figure out who our dad was. And one of the guys that failed the paternity test, but we wish to this day that he was our father, his name was Reed. And his mom was our nanny. She did everything for us, like took care of us, doctor's appointments, fun trips, loved on us. So Gary, our uncle, was like the antithesis to our nanny, you know. But when we first heard we were moving in with him, we were devastated. And you learn to to not be afraid of him, and he was trying to do his best, and he loved us dearly. He took care of us, but it was really hard. But again, having a brother that I was doing that with made it a lot easier to manage.
So how long were you at his house?
Man, from 4th grade until 7th grade. And then he ended up going back to prison. So we lived with his wife for about half a year. And then we moved in with our mom's sister for a half a year. So from 4th grade to 8th grade, our mom was homeless.
Okay.
Legit living on the streets. Like, she was known as the can lady at a local middle school because she'd go to the school and dig through the trash cans and get all the cans and bottles to recycle.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got thrown back into the mix with our mom at the start of high school. So in 9th grade, we were living with our mom and her boyfriend, who she just tricked this guy, man. She tricked him into letting her move in. They didn't even live in the same rooms. He was super bipolar, pretty physical, like loses temper. And so we started living there, and chaos again, figuring out a new family system, the new way of how does this house work? What are the rules and things like that? And we would go with our mom to our local high school as 9th graders, and we'd jump into the dumpsters, get all the trash bags out of the dumpsters,
Really?
Rip open the bags, get all the cans and bottles. We'd compete with other people, other bums.
So to get cans to go and get money for them?
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Recycling in California is a big thing, and you can make some good money. So that was our way of having money to go to the movies, money to go get a burger, whatever it was. Like, to this day, the smell of the Gatorade and the soda in a like a ballpark trash bin, I instantly go back to digging through the dumpsters.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is wild. So you moved back with your mom, and did you stay with her throughout the rest of high school?
Man, we moved back in with her in 9th grade, and it started really bad because she was gone till 1, 2 in the morning every night. She was very much still addicted to meth. And football, we wanted to play, but no one was checking in on us or making sure we were doing what we needed to do. So as 15-year-olds, you're in charge of your life. What 15-year-old can be in charge of their life? None. So I wasn't going to school very much 9th grade. My 9th grade GPA was 1.7.
Wow.
Yeah. Had to do summer school the whole rest of high school to make up for that. And we met our best friend on our football team in 9th grade. His name was John Vandenrat, and he was a receiver at the time, ended up sprouting up and becoming the quarterback of our team. And he had a awesome family. He had 4 older sisters, so all the dudes loved going over to his house because he had 4 older sisters.
Yeah, we'll come over. Yeah.
They were the sweetest, most beautiful young ladies ever. And his parents were phenomenal. Their house was a safe haven for anyone and everyone.
Wow.
So the moment we showed up there, his parents knew, like, hey, these boys need some love and they need some Jesus, because we knew nothing. Like, we'd been coerced to go to church a time or two growing up, and we're just like, what is this? Get this away from me. But man, that family, we could feel the warmth, the genuine love. And so we just started coming around more. And he started picking us up. Our friend John started picking us up and driving us to school. We'd stay the night at his house on school nights. We turned their garage into a dorm room for the 3 of us by junior year of high school.
Oh, wow.
So we were still like with our mom, but we were at John's house.
You were pretty much gone at that point. Yeah.
Yep. And so senior year, we had the best season of football our school had ever had.
Wow.
And then our mom ended up having a super bad stroke right after playoffs, November of 2007. So, I mean, our world just came crumbling down. Even though she wasn't always there, it was the closest parental figure we've had. So she got put in a nursing home, and at 17, I just felt this burden that I had to become caregiver for my mom.
Man. So I want to spend a little bit more time on this, but as you were talking about how your life was, I don't know if you've seen the documentary on the Red Hot Chili Peppers that is on Netflix, but one of their band members, Flea, he was basically on his own at 14 in Hollywood because his parents were addicts.
In Hollywood.
And he ended up, finding, hanging out in the music scene and getting plugged in with there, and that's how he got in. They started a band and all that, but it just seems like, is that more common in California than in other places where kids are just kind of on their own?
Yeah.
Or do you just hear more about it because of where it is?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm always slow to be like, not to put a label on something or to prescribe something for a place, but I mean, the population of California is so big.
Yeah.
So I think the stories are going to be more prevalent. And it's still hard to put into perspective the size of Mississippi compared to the size of a place like California.
Where in California were you growing up?
We grew up in Southern California, and it's known as the Inland Empire, Riverside County. It's not LA, it's not San Diego, it's not Orange County. It's just more inland than all those other places. And honestly, someone described it once as the armpit of Southern California. And I took offense to it, but I was like, man, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. So, but it's actually like one of the biggest, most successful counties in all of Southern California. They're even thinking about putting a football team, an NFL team in Riverside County.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were going through all this with your brother. Were you guys like talking about what was going on and kind of making plans like to get out of here, or were you just kind of trying to survive at that point?
You know, that's an interesting question. And I remember a counselor friend once said that children are wonderful observers, but terrible interpreters. So we can watch and we see everything that's going on around us, but you don't know how to interpret that and process that and give meaning to it and make sense of it. And so I think for a lot of youth, you're just going through whatever you're going through. You know, there's so many children nowadays that have super abusive parents and they just think it's what's normal. I've talked to teenagers in Madison, Mississippi, that they're like, I just thought it was normal for my dad to beat the brakes off of me when he just feels like it. And so same is true for us. We just rolled with the punches. You know, we lived with someone until we were 9, then lived with someone else for a few years, then lived with someone else. And as we've become adults and started working on the trauma and sitting in therapy and going to counseling, and honestly, getting married forces you to have to look inward and not blame someone else for your issues. So I think marriage and just the commitment that comes from that forces you to start looking inward and take ownership over what you've gone through. And it was only then when you realize like, oh my gosh. But I don't know what it was, man. We just always knew we were going to succeed. Like it was a gift that God gave us that we were going to succeed. And we had some very constructive environments. Football saved my life.
How would your life have been different if you hadn't gone to live with that family those last couple years of high school?
Man, I don't see how I wouldn't have become a statistic. Because I would have just tried to figure it out on my own. And, you know, being a teenager, sometimes I hate to admit what I experienced or even some of the thoughts I probably had as a teenager, but then I quickly remind myself, I had no guidance, no authority, no checks, no balances. And so I try to be a little bit easier on myself. But like we were plotting how to, like we'd become friends with certain people and we'd be plotting how to rob a convenience store.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I stole all the time as a teenager. I'd go to the local mall and get a bottle of cologne and walk right out of the mall with it, man. You know, so there's no doubt in my mind. I don't think I would have like spun out on drugs, but I think I would have lived a life that would have been very self-focused and would have done whatever was necessary to get what I wanted. So you and your brother got really involved in football. What you mentioned earlier, the physicality of it. What else attracted you to that? So it was the only place early on where we were fathered and there were men that were enacting discipline and were committed to you and wanted to see you grow. So that was a huge component. I mean, I've always had a desire and an affinity for men that wanted to help the younger generation. Like mentor-mentee relationship, I've always been super excited about that. And it's served me really well in my life. I've had beautiful relationships with a bunch of men that are significantly older than me that have poured into me and helped me get to places in my life that I wouldn't have. So that aspect of team sports, the discipline, the tribe, but man, it was a place to get into a fight. Yeah. Our coach would always say it's a controlled street fight. Yeah. Like between the whistles. And I'm sure you had a lot of aggression built up inside. Tons. What position did you and your brother play? I played offensive line and he played defensive line. Did y'all go head to head in practice? Man, people loved to see it and we hated it. Really? Because it would just be atomic energy. It would not end well. Yeah. And we didn't want to hurt one another. You know, you have a brother and even for me and him, there's not even that healthy rivalry. I think because we've had to survive so much, I don't want to beat him. I'll beat you.
Yeah.
But I don't care to beat him. You know, I remember when we first got to college.
Yeah.
The first hitting drill, they said Hughes brothers. And Nate looked at people saying it. He said, no, I want to go up against you.
Oh, he called him out. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Are you older or is your brother older?
Man, I'm 6 minutes older.
6 minutes.
But we learned about ourselves, dude. I am the salesman and he is the manager. So you put me in the room, I'm going to work the room, but he's going to make sure that everything's going to go well. Yeah. Yeah, man.
So at what point did y'all decide or realize that you were going to get the chance to play in college?
So we were the three brothers. John ended up, we're brothers at this time. Anywhere we'd go, they'd be like, are you guys brothers? And we say, yep. We just we loved it. So in high school, man, we were really successful. We had a great senior year, and John got a scholarship to go play at a local private university. And so we decided to walk on with him. And so we all went to Azusa Pacific University, which was a private Christian university. I wouldn't have dare stepped foot into a private Christian school ever in my life if it was up to me. But that was the Lord working in our lives and helping to navigate our journey. Because John's family definitely was the clearest picture of unconditional love. I mean, when my mom had that stroke, when I would be overwhelmed, a 17-year-old doesn't know how to see trouble in its proper place in life. They helped me. They'd pray with me. They'd love on me. And so then going to a university where you're required to go to chapel Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, you're required to take Bible classes. You're around a bunch of people that say they're Christians, even if they're not. It took a while. It wasn't until like my junior year of college that I actually was baptized and could overwhelmingly see, man, I'm a selfish sinner. I'm terribly afraid on the inside, but I'm portraying this big, strong presence on the outside. But I believe this. I believe God's been working in my life.
What led you to that? Because you went to college really to play football, and then you I guess you changed in college. What were some of the catalysts for that?
I think it's the cliche of your friends and your environment. It's those two things. And I preach those to young people all the time, even now. It's so hard to change them intentionally on your own. So, and I kind of fell into going to a private Christian university, and then you're around a bunch of people that you find affinity with, that you have common interests with, but also they're genuine believers. So it took all of that, and then dating a girl that was a godly young lady, all of those things. Nate ended up having his conversion experience, I would say, before me. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, he got so obsessed with Jeremy Camp, the Christian artist. Dude, I like despised Jeremy Camp because of it. Like, it was like,
is he a musician?
Yeah, he's a musician.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out Jeremy Camp, dude. He seems like he's probably a great guy. He is.
You hated him though.
Dude, I despised his music because it seemed ingenuine to me.
Yeah.
For me, if something's not like radically genuine, I don't want anything to do with it. Like, keep me away from this big body of people singing these songs. And I remember communion. I'm like, what is this? I don't know what this is for. Get this away from me.
Because that was the complete opposite of how you'd experienced the world your whole life.
Yeah. Yep.
So by the end of college, you had changed and you had converted and became a Christian. And, were you fired up at that point?
I was, man. It was a process of seeing how selfish and afraid I was, but then clearly seeing how good God was. And then was baptized as a junior in college. Had the opportunity to go on my first international mission trip to the Dominican Republic my senior year of college.
So you just went head first in.
Yeah, man. And it was my best friend on our football team.
His same guy?
No. So he's family.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
So he's your brother.
He's family. But another good friend, his name's Luke Marquardt. Dude's 6'9", 330 pounds. Whew. He got an invite to the NFL Combine. He played for the Niners for a while, but his family grew up in Africa. So my story really is interwoven with his family. They led our college friend group on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic. And anytime someone had to share their testimony or speak to the young people, it was like, Nick,
you're up.
Yeah. And man, I loved it. And she saw me thriving out there, and she was like, Nick, I grew up with two brothers that are identical twins, and they have a mission in Africa and they need teachers. She was like, I think you'd be phenomenal there. And I was like, okay, sure. She gives my name. They offer me monthly support, room and board, flights out to Africa. And I'm like, dude, I'm a chump. Like I have no other options on the table. I was like, it was pride that led me to going to Africa.
Really?
I just had no other options. I graduated college with a psychology degree, couldn't do much with that, was thinking about teaching, was thinking about coaching. And so went to Africa with my brother, John. So our best friend that turned into family, he decided to go with me, which I was blown away. He had mathematics major, was going to do engineering for grad school, could have done anything else. And he chose to go serve in Africa with me, which was massive because I needed someone.
So
I had someone my whole life, so I needed someone to go with me.
What part of Africa did you go to?
Man, I went to Malawi, East Africa, and John was there for 6 months, and he got an offer to go play American football in Europe. So he left. So for the first time in my life,
you were by yourself.
I was all by myself.
Where was Nate at this point?
Nate was working on, he got a scholarship to go to seminary at our alma mater.
Okay, cool.
So he was sitting in Pasadena, California, still doing his thing in his master's program.
So this was the first time that y'all two had been separated your whole life.
Yeah, man. First time we ever were separated, I was getting on a plane to go live in Africa for a whole year.
That's crazy.
And I wasn't going to see him for a whole year.
How did that feel?
Dude, I can still go back to sitting on the Lufthansa German airline at the back row thinking a year's a really long time.
Yeah.
And like just seeing like this tunnel of like, this is a big commitment.
What year was that?
That was 2013.
So it was technology advanced enough where you could you do FaceTimes at that point?
Dude, like Instagram was just a thing.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm so thankful for it to this day. Yeah, you could you'd Skype.
Okay.
You'd
Yeah,
Skype back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd Skype, and dude, I texted him. We text nonstop. I'd be going to bed 9 p.m. my time. It'd be noon his time, and text me when I wake up, and then he'd be going to bed. So always chatting, always staying connected, and my social media became like my Rolodex of my life and my travel. So I can look back on my Instagram account to this day.
Cool.
15 years later, and still see everything that I got to experience out there.
So you were in Malawi for a year?
I was there for 2 years.
2 years.
But got to go home June, July, back in August. And man, I'll say it to this day, the most formative 2 years of my entire life.
I imagine. So what all did you learn while you were there?
Again,
about yourself.
Again, environment and friends. I lived on a campus that acted as a kind of like a compound. The university was on campus. The academy for K through 12 was on campus. And then missionary housing lined the 1 mile road of the entire road. So you had 15 families from all over the world that were genuine believers. You don't go to Africa usually if you're not truly a believer.
If you're not bought in.
Yeah. In serving in a role like that. So, and it was a little glimpse of, I think, the way that we're supposed to live life. I was at a different family member's house every night for dinner. Every night. Just a slowness to life. I would teach from 7 to 1. I'd do afternoon activities with the students from 1 to 3. I'd get to go work out with a couple of the dads and some other teachers from 3 to 5, and I'd be at someone's house eating dinner and getting to share a lovely meal and fellowship.
That sounds like a great day.
Dude, it was every day.
Yeah.
It was every day.
Uh-huh.
It was amazing. So I learned so much about who God is, seeing these Malawians, the third poorest country in the world. And these people loved Jesus, man. Loved Jesus. And I needed that. Because if it ain't genuine, I don't want it. And so to see people from another country, third poorest country in the world, bought in for this guy and this book, dude, it did everything for me, man.
So at what point did you start thinking about, I think I want to make a career out of this?
There were some men there that I love dearly to this day that mentored me, Bible professors, pastors, and got opportunities to teach in the chapels, had my first experience preaching in the college chapel at that campus. And people spoke into my life and said, you're a gifted communicator. I think you have a call to ministry. Then you start praying about that call. And it kind of just fell into place for me. I started applying to seminaries and quickly realized that wrestling over preparing a sermon was one of the most strenuous tasks I could do. But then when I would deliver it, I felt so complete. It just made me feel more alive than anything else I'd ever done in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
And so you started applying, and when did you get accepted to multiple places or what?
I did, dude. I did. I applied to 4 different seminaries, and one of my mentors was a a graduate of the Master's Seminary, which is John MacArthur's seminary. And I don't know how much you know about John MacArthur and how much your listeners would know about him, but man, he passed away like 2 years ago. He's a giant in the faith. Comes from a little bit more of a fundamental Baptist leaning, very black and white in things you probably shouldn't be black and white in. And like, thank God I didn't go there, because I think I would have become a monster, like a judger, a Pharisee. And my mentor was pushing hard for it and got me enrolled and accepted. And he even
Where was this?
It's in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah. He had a house that he rented
going
out.
back to California.
Yeah. I mean, living in LA, he had a house that he rented out to like 4 seminary students, and he was like, you can manage the house. And I was like, man, I need a deal though. Like, can you not charge me rent? He was like, man, I don't do money and friend stuff. And I kid you not, say whatever you want to say. That was it. That was my sign. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. And then Paul Chinchin, president of the mission that I've been serving at for 2 years, he helped me get a 75% tuition scholarship to a place I knew nothing about, had never heard of before, never in my wildest dreams would have imagined I'd be going to Mississippi for seminary. And I got home, packed my truck, and thank God I did, because when I got back to California, it was like I was standing still and everyone else was moving around me.
Really?
Because they all figured out how to live they're living their lives.
Kind of moved on.
Yeah. Not from me.
Yeah, just with their life.
Yep.
Yeah. Like what happens after college and you graduate and you have this going away party, and then all of a sudden everybody's on their own, and then you hardly keep in touch with your friends anymore.
Yeah.
So through all this, what was your brother doing?
Man, he was in seminary and then lost his scholarship to seminary because he didn't realize he had to keep like a 3.5 or something crazy, because it was a really prestigious scholarship.
Was this the seminary that you were thinking about going to, or was it a different one?
It was a different one.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was working at our alma mater doing event services, and he was chipping away at seminary. And so after 2 years had passed, he's still working at the university. And I get home and I'm like, hey dude, I'm going to Mississippi. And he was like, you're crazy. I was like, I gotta go. I got a scholarship.
Wow.
I was praying like, Lord, if you want me to be in seminary, I'm not taking out student loan debt and 75% tuition scholarship. So I packed my truck and drove south, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was that drive like?
Oh man.
What was going through your head?
It's still one of the most vivid drives I have. Yeah. Cause it was so long. Dude. It took like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
Stopped in Arizona for a night, stopped in Texas for a night. Still remember the first time I drove across the Mississippi Bridge or the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
It was a great drive. Listened to a lot of audiobooks. Was so excited. And
what did you expect you were going to come into in Mississippi when you got here?
Man, I don't know. And I joke with people, and it's not a diss, because I don't really mean it, but it was more of a culture shock moving to Mississippi than it was moving to Africa. That's what I say to people.
Really?
Yeah, man.
In what way?
You knew that things were going to be different in Africa.
Yeah.
So I get to Mississippi, and everyone, for the most part in Madison especially, looks like me. But man, I couldn't be more different from every person. Especially, honestly, man, RTS is great, but being on that campus around all of those people that want to be like theologians and want to write commentaries, I was the most anxious and isolated I'd ever been in my life.
Really?
Yes.
So when you got here, you lived on campus?
I lived with Paul Chinchin and the Chinchin family for about 6 months, and then I moved to Clinton Boulevard and lived on campus, which I know you know
where
about.
Where I lived, for multiple years.
Yeah.
And I didn't live on campus. We lived in the apartments right off campus. But yeah, I was there a lot younger than you were. I was 6, 7, 8 years old when we were there. But
hearing the gunshots, couple nights a week.
Go listen to my dad's episode, and you'll hear a funny story about that. But it hadn't got quite as bad as it has gotten now, but it was still pretty rough. And people tried to break into our house maybe 6 or 7, 8 times. I don't even know how many times. It was just kind of par for the course.
Yeah.
So you move here. You moved to Mississippi.
Yeah.
You start going to seminary. What was that experience like for the actual school part?
It was the most rigorous and demanding thing I'd ever done, because I could get my way through anything academically up to that point. But now I really wanted it, and the demand there was so high. I mean, I think it's similar to law school at RTS or med school, with the requirements and the amount of reading they want you to do. They want you to be prepared. So it was strenuous, and they almost require an internship. So I had to get an internship at a church. And I went to First Pres one time and thought I was sitting in someone's seat that I shouldn't have been sitting in, and I was underdressed.
Somebody's been in that seat for 50 years,
That's
Nick.
That's right, man. And so I was coaching football at MRA.
Yeah.
I was a part-time junior high football coach. Before I even landed here, Paul Chinchin had lobbied for me to get a part-time coaching job.
Cool.
And so Termy Land was amazing. Told John Weaver, you're hiring this guy. John Weaver still jokes about it to this day. But dude, I had so much fun relationally coaching. I learned that I didn't want to be a coach, but I loved the relational side of it. And Ridge Futrell was a 7th grader, and I would say to him, hey man, go tell your dad I need an internship.
Really?
I swear to you, every day I'd practice say, tell your dad I need an internship. He single-handedly got me an internship at Broadmoor Baptist Church.
How many times did you tell him that before it happened?
Oh man, probably a week or two.
Oh, so it wasn't that long. It wasn't like 2 years or anything.
No, it was quick. And man, I remember going to Broadmoor and going down in front and introducing myself to Rob. And Rob is an amazing friend and mentor to me as well. Paul Chinchin opened my door to Mississippi, and Rob Futrell opened my door to ministry in Mississippi. So started interning at Broadmoor, got my teeth cut in ministry there. My brother actually came out for one summer and served at Broadmoor with me. And we were connected at that point, doing our Bible study together, doing our book club together.
Yeah, book club,
Yeah, man. And it was a good summer. But then my brother got an offer to go be a college pastor in Arizona. And he had an offer on the table to stay at Broadmoor.
Really?
Yeah. And I looked at him, man, and it was like the hardest decision ever because like we're back together.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, we're both going to be having identical experiences here when we're still trying to learn so much. You have an opportunity to go be a pastor of college students and really get to experience a place you've never been and an opportunity that is all yours. And it was phenomenal for him. He was there in Arizona for 8 years and I was in Mississippi the whole time. And then eventually led him to taking the position at Vertical Church as the lead pastor.
Yeah. So once you got to Broadmoor, were you really kind of getting an idea of what kind of ministry you wanted to go into?
You know, I was still so naive and ignorant that if anyone said, what do you want to do? All I really knew there was to do was preach.
Yeah.
And that's where I knew my calling ultimately was, which is so ironic because look at me now, 13 years later, I'm still in student ministry. But I really believe my calling was to preach. And I mean, Rob Futrell came to my seminary class, my preaching class. You work on a sermon for the whole semester and then you preach it in the pulpit at RTS. And all of your classmates listen to it and critique it. I was the only student that had a pastor from outside of the school or anyone come to hear the student preach. Rob came and heard me preach my sermon. He called me like 2 weeks later and he's like, hey, I want you to preach the Memorial Weekend service.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Big Sunday at Broadmoor, thousands of people. And so that was my first experience after interning at Broadmoor for about a year. I'm preaching to thousands of people. That's my first experience preaching in a church. I mean, where do you go from there?
How did that service go?
Man, the people there are the sweetest. They were so receptive, and I worked really hard, and I already prepared that sermon for class. And
so you preached the same sermon?
Relatively, yep. And I felt so fulfilled, and still. We were without a youth pastor at Broadmoor, and Rob was like, hey, Nick, if you want this, you got to tell me so that we can interview you. And I was like, no, I'm good. And I looked back after serving at Broadmoor in various roles, college pastor, assist to high school and things like that. And I was like, man, these 4 years that I've been working with young people were the most rewarding 4 years of my life.
Really?
And it was such a privilege and such an honor. And so it was in that moment that I realized ministry is so much more than just preaching. And then took a job in Brandon for 3 years as a student pastor. And now I've been back in Madison for 4 years as a student pastor. So you
didn't take the student pastor job at Broadmoor?
Never did.
And were you interviewing for pastor jobs at other places?
No, I was still a little, you know, when you first start out in ministry, it's a little bit of a ladder, and you got to be a youth minister for a little while before you then go become a young adults or something. And then you can go be a preaching pastor somewhere. And I just have steadily stayed in the role of pouring into the lives of young people.
So how did you get that job in Brandon?
I just started applying at local churches.
Okay.
And Vertical was hiring a youth pastor at that time. And they were just too slow in their hiring process for me. I was really ready to start.
You were ready to get after it, yeah.
Yep.
So you took that job, and at what point did you meet your wife?
I met her, I'd been at Broadmoor for a year.
Okay. And
went on a mission trip to Jamaica with me and Foxworth as the two staffers, two single dudes that were 25 years old, Steve and Melinda, 30 sorority girls.
Oh, wow.
And 3 college guys.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Who approved this trip?
I know. And so I met her in Jamaica. I met Bryce in Jamaica.
So she went on the trip?
Yeah, she'd been on the trip with Tate the year before.
Okay.
When she was a 12th grader in high school.
Okay.
And then she convinced 25 of her sorority sisters after her freshman year of college to go on this trip again.
Wow.
Yeah. So I met her in Jamaica.
Okay. And then how did y'all's relationship progress from there?
Man, I say this all the time. Every guy wanted Bryce.
Really?
Except me. I did. I just had to act like I didn't.
Oh, I got you.
I kid you not, dude. We got back from that trip and Fox, I think Sarah knows this already too. Caleb calls me into his office. He said, dude, which one did you like? And he's like, I loved Bryce.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, she's amazing. She's amazing. She was prom queen, homecoming queen, won 2 soccer state titles. Like she's a great girl. I wanted my brother to date Bryce.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm the knucklehead. I started talking to her roommate, her former roommate, for like a few months. So then, but she was always a great friend to me. So that summer, she was a great friend. She ended up finishing 1 more year at state, and then she was doing 2 years at Mississippi College for nursing. So then once she moved back home, she left all of her friends. All she had to do was hang out with me because she had no friends around. So we started hanging out nonstop, training for a half marathon together. And as soon as I could figure out how to lock her down, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I mean, like we were friends for a whole year. She came home. We hung out all September, October, November, became official that November. I proposed that January.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I was talking to a student about this the other day. She was a junior in college. And I was 26. And I proposed to her. I got her parents' blessing. We got married that summer. She still had a year left of her undergrad. Yeah.
But you were ready to go.
Yeah, man. I knew she was the one. And I had people that affirmed it and said it. And it hasn't always been, it was tough for those first few years for us in marriage. As it's hard for everyone, but love the life we have together. We have 2 beautiful kids, close to the same age as yours.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So
who were some of the other people that were influential on you in that time period?
Without a doubt, Steve Hendricks. I mean, he was.
How did you meet him?
At Broadmoor, they had a men's morning breakfast, and he and I were both late to the breakfast, so we had to sit at the back table together.
So y'all sat together at the breakfast, really?
And I was like, he said, the question was, what do you have going on this weekend? I said, I'm leading a group of 12th graders at Disciple Now. And he said, well, you're going to be staying at my house.
Really?
And he said, why don't you come over tomorrow for a bike ride so we can plan for the weekend?
Wow.
So I hopped on a road bike and started riding bikes with him ever since.
Man.
Yeah.
That's so cool how at different points in your story you have these families kind of just adopt you and take you in without even you really have any say in the matter.
Yes. It is so much a part of my story. The lack of family that I had in my childhood, God is like tripled, quadrupled, multiplied in a way that I could never imagine as an adult. Yeah.
And the Hendricks are such a big part of my life and my story too. And, Tate was one of my best friends, and I'm so sad that you never got to meet him because he was such an amazing person. And I just thoroughly enjoy every time I see him and getting to catch up with him and keeping up with Tal and all that. Yeah.
And then, my 1.5-year-old son's name is Nicholas Tate Hughes, and he goes by Tate. And we did that because of Steve and Melinda and the love that we've experienced that we know is very much.
So how did the Hendrickses specifically have an impact on you in that time?
My goodness. I'd lived in Mississippi for a year. They got me out of Clinton, which was massive. So I moved in with them and started living with them. And it hadn't even been a year since Tate had passed. And I was living in his bedroom, sleeping in his bed. And then my brother came out for the summer and we both lived there together. And then Nate took the job in Arizona. I think Steve and Melinda were like, please, both of you guys stay. We had so much fun together. They're the funnest people. They're the most adventurous. They love life. They love good food. They love good sports. They are awesome, man. And so when my brother left, Melinda wrote me and Nate identical letters.
Really?
Because she knew she couldn't write one different than the other because we're twins.
Right.
And at the end of these letters, I have this letter in my Bible still, but it said when Steve mentioned to me that you guys might be moving in, I was very reluctant, understandably so. She said, I would never want to risk the thought of replacing my son. And she says that when the police showed up at her door and they broke the news to her that she just quoted Job. She said, the Lord gives and the Lord takes. And she wrote in these letters, when the Lord took what he took from Job, it does not say that he replaced what was gone. It says that he doubled.
Wow.
And she's like, I have 2 more sons from the loss. And that sums up our relationship with them. I mean, they've been so generous.
How did that make you feel to read that?
Oh my goodness. I mean, my whole life I'm questioning if I'm like, if someone says I love you, I'm like, come on. Yeah, right. No, you don't. You're going to leave. And that was such a healing moment, without a doubt. I mean, I know their love is genuine. Their love is real, and they're phenomenal people, man.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. So let's talk a little bit about your youth ministry that you got involved in at Brandon, that you're going in currently. It's one of the most demanding and also probably one of the most underappreciated roles at the church. You've kind of touched on it a pretty good bit, and listening to your story, it makes sense why you'd be drawn to working with teenagers. But what would you say is the reason that you like working with them so much?
Yeah, you're so right. And even in the church world, a lot of people wrongfully will look down on youth pastors. And now that my brother's a lead pastor and he's seen me do youth ministry for 12 years, I think it's such a disservice that more churches don't prioritize that position over almost any other, because it's the lifeblood of the church. And so for me, what's kept me involved in it, what pushed me to be involved in it and stay in it, I was desperate for guidance as a young person. I was starved for direction, starved for meaning. I still remember to this day when I was like 16, 17, every Friday night you'd go to the movie theater because that's just what you do. Even if you didn't see a movie, you just go to hang out. And people got in trouble like crazy. There was 2 young guys, probably in their 20s, hanging out at the movie theater, trying to invite people to church on that Sunday.
Really? And
I still remember they invited me, said that they were going to pick me up and they're going to take me to church. And they never did, but that's not the point of the story. I was looking even then. And if they would have picked me up, I would have gone. And I see it today. I've seen it over the last 14 years. It doesn't matter how good of a life a young person seems to have materialistically, or if they've got the money, or their family seems like it's a good family. We all come from broken homes because everyone's broken. And so young people desperately need guidance. They need direction. They need meaning. And it's been an honor and a privilege for young people to even allow me to speak into their lives. So that's what's kept me in it, is the lack in my own life and getting to kind of heal my childhood, but also give back in a way that I know is so needed. And seeing the state of young people even today, man, they're overwhelmed with so many vices, so many temptations.
It's got to be the hardest time in history to raise kids. I think about that all the time with our girls, and when they get older and all the decisions we have to make as far as social media and phone and who they're going to be hanging out with and all that type of stuff, it's going to be really hard to navigate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we are living in the most difficult time to raise kids.
So what does a great youth pastor actually do?
Man, it's so funny you ask that, because seminary prepares you to handle the Bible well. That's all it prepares you for. Ministry is so much more, but it's definitely not less than handling the Bible well.
Yeah, figure the people out yourself.
Yeah. Event planner, trip planner, marketer, promoter, World Star communicator, counselor, connect and help the parents. There's so many things that you're supposed to do well. Administration, whatever. It's a unicorn on the expectation that a church will put on a youth pastor. But I think to be an effective youth pastor or to do youth ministry well, you definitely have to be able to communicate. And you gotta know yourself well. Don't try to be like the teenagers. Be yourself, be genuine. Again, I don't buy anyone that I can smell the phoniness with. Yeah. And so I think young people open up when they feel like something's genuine.
Because they can sniff it out pretty good.
young people are living in this world where they know when something's not genuine. They're
Yeah.
And I've tried to always live my life being as genuine as I could possibly be, maybe to a fault. So I think to be effective in youth ministry, you gotta be genuine. You can't pretend to be something you're not. You can't pretend to be overly religious.
Because they're going to smell it out.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's the hardest part about working with teenagers now compared to when you started? You've been doing it over 10 years now.
Yeah. I think there's two different areas. My family is growing. So that just makes it more difficult because I've got such a need at home. And so I'm wrestling even now in real time. I was gone for a week over spring break. I was gone for a week at the end of May. I'm about to be gone for 2 weeks back to back, Monday through Friday, middle school camp. I'll be home Saturday, Sunday. I'll leave again Monday through Friday for high school camp. And so I've even been realizing I can't do this again next summer this way. And we've been raising people up to where I don't need to go on the middle school trip next year. So what's getting more difficult for me over the last 10 to 12 years is just my family is growing and I'm needed at home more often. And soon I could be able to take my kids along with me, which would be awesome. And then with the students, the human solution apart from God is to hide. And so they're getting better at hiding. They are. Whether it's the substances that they're abusing or the things they're watching or the relationships that they're keeping from you, like they're getting better at hiding. And so you have to spend more time with them and build more trust with them so they can believe that there's an alternate solution to hiding. So I think that, and man, you've got something else too, is just the parents, man. You know when a young person doesn't have present parents, dude. You just know.
They're there. They're just not there. They're worried about their own stuff or work or their own social life or whatever.
Yes. And it drastically affects the students. Drastically. Yeah, man.
Tell me about a student that sticks out to you, and you don't mention any names, but what's a story that really sticks out to you that came in from a tough place and maybe had a big impact on them?
Man, goodness. I've had some students, it's kind of, they will share things with me that they probably wouldn't share with anyone else. And it's definitely sacred because they'll also share things with me about their families. And then I have to know how to hold that well. And it's a little bit like counseling where if it's a threat to their safety, then yeah, you need to go say something. But sometimes you just got to be available for them. And I can't think of a situation where a student has come to me and it's been something so like such a massive, like, wow, you kept me from avoiding this or avoiding that. I think just the countless stories of people wanting to trust Jesus and wanting to believe in him and wanting to live differently is what's really helped me. Because I'll never forget, man, when I was in Africa, there was a woman out there who lived in Africa for 30 years. And she was like, why are you going back to America? They've already had their chance with the gospel. And I never bought that. And here I am in the Bible Belt where the gospel supposedly is everywhere. And yeah, the language is everywhere. But I think that a lot of young people, you can't just say you're a sinner and Jesus loves you. Like that's not, yes, that's the gospel in essence of just verbalizing it. But the people in Madison, Mississippi, the young people in Madison, Mississippi, anyone here, wealth is intoxicating and it allows you to hide really, really well. So people here need the gospel desperately, but they need it presented to them in a way and shown them in a way that they can receive it and then openly admit, like, yeah, I'm hiding, I'm faking it, I'm playing the game.
Well, you touched on this earlier a little bit, but what do the parents not understand about the kids that you work with that you understand?
Goodness, man. I think so many parents think that their role is definitely different with their children. But dude, these kids want to be seen and known by their parents, man. They do. They want to be seen and known and be valued by their parents. And their parents mistakenly think that they're out of touch or they can't relate. take your kid along with you, whatever you're doing. Go do something with them that you know they enjoy. I've had multiple students say, I just wish my mom would stop staring at that iPad till 1 a.m.
Wow.
Yes.
Putting the phone down is such a hard thing to do in the moment. And like, I find myself with my girls, like they're wanting me to do something and I'll be looking at or replying to a text or whatever. And it's just like, I need to be more intentional about just walking in and put my phone on the charger and go play. And sometimes I do. And it's like the best hour just spending with them playing and running around outside. And then you can get getting caught up on everything that you missed the last hour. And then they're pulling on your leg or whatever. Well, how has all that changed how you think about parenting your kids? Yeah.
And that's where it's just like you said, I can sit here and say that a young man wishes his mom wasn't on their iPad till 1 a.m, but I am just as bad, if not worse, than a lot of these parents with my own cell phone use. And my wife and I have been having conversations the last month where she's like, Nick, you've got to get this under control. And I think the beauty in what you just said is you just have to keep trying. Just keep trying to put your phone up and out of sight. You don't have to be perfect and for 5 hours while you're home in the evening, it's gone. And if you don't do it, you just give up. I just need to keep engaging in this process of putting my phone up when I get home because those little eyes are looking back at us constantly, just seeing if we're watching.
Have I told you about the Daily Dad, the Daily Reader?
Yeah.
He talks, I'm going to read it again next year because it was so impactful, but I gave it to my brother and my brother-in-law and my dad a couple years ago for Christmas. But it's just a daily one page that you read, and it's always talking about being present, being there with your kids. Like, so what if they had you throw them onto the couch 20 times, do it the 21st time, even though you're tired of it, because those moments are so fleeting and the time goes by so fast. And it's not something that anybody ever gets perfect, but just I'm constantly trying to tell myself, and it's something I need to do better about every single day, is be more present, especially as they're getting to the age where they're being more and more active. And I know they'll get to the point where they don't want to be around dad anymore for a while, So.
Yeah.
Well, I have twins. I want to talk about being a twin with you for a bit.
Yeah.
Because it's a fascinating relationship. And I can remember growing up thinking, man, I wish I had had a twin. I think that'd be really cool. And y'all are identical. My daughters are fraternal, but it's still a different bond than anybody else would ever experience. So what is that like to share everything in your life with somebody?
Yeah, man.
And I was thinking about this earlier, just hearing your story, and y'all's relationship is probably different than a lot of other people's because y'all were kind of on your own from a very young age. And so you don't even have the other siblings involved or the parental structure that a lot of people would have. It's just you and your brother. So what is that relationship like?
Yeah, I definitely think the Lord knew that being identical twins would protect us because we always had connection. And I think that people really get in really difficult situations in life when they lose how to keep connection with other human beings. And Nate says it all the time, and it's coined in some books. The opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, it's connection. And the more connected that you can be, the better chance you have at engaging in constructive behaviors and having a healthy life. So the connection that you have with an identical twin is so strong that it kept us away from needing to be validated in a lot of other ways. But man, also just genetically being identical, as you ask that question, it just dawns on me, sometimes memories that he has, I end up feeling like they're memories that I've had.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. And like the way that we can share about something that we've gone through, in a way, it can feel like you went through it yourself, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So I was reading a book about the Winklevoss twins. You know who those guys are? Facebook guys.
Yeah.
And they're this special kind of twin that they were the one person for, I think it's like over a week. And I never really thought about that. Like identical twins used to be the same person, and they were at so long that they were like really identical. I forget the term for it. But then you think about, wow, you and your brother actually were the same person for a certain amount of time before you split off. Do you feel like you can connect with him, communicate with him in almost a supernatural way that you wouldn't be able to with anybody else?
Yes, for sure. I mean, but some of that probably is attributed to the science of just being genetically the same. But I think when you are just
so in tune with
you're just in tune. I think it's as much just being in tune with someone as it is the genetics that are there, for sure.
Have I told you about the podcast where Dax Shepard interviewed the expert on twins?
Yeah.
Did you listen to it?
I did. I listened to I think 3/4 that I told you I'm so bad at listening to podcasts. I was cutting the grass, dude. No, I listened to it.
Dude, it was crazy when she would talk about these. She studied these twins. She studies twins for a living, and she would study these twins that were separated at birth. And they didn't know each other their whole lives, but their lives were like identical. Like they had the same job. They got married the same amount of times. Their wives looked the same. And they had the same amount of kids. And they got married the same age and divorced at the same age and got the same job and living in two completely different parts of the world.
Dude.
And there was another set of twins. One, they were separated at birth. I think they were both from China, but one grew up in the US, one grew up in like Norway or something. And they didn't even speak the same language, but they met for the first time when they were in their 30s or 40s, and they could immediately start communicating with each other. It's just such a fascinating thing to see how genetics plays out, even though people grow up in the same part of the world. And she mentioned in that podcast, and it's something that's really stuck with me, she said, parents of fraternal twins will understand human nature better than anybody else, because you see two kids grow up in the exact same environment, our girls are born 1 minute apart, but they're so different in so many ways, even though they literally have never been apart from each other at this point in their life. And they've had the exact same stimulus. And it's such a incredible view of how nature versus nurture stems, and how like there's just so many parts of us that are just ingrained in our DNA, and there's literally nothing that you can change. But you can also do things to amplify them in certain ways.
Yeah.
So have you and your brother ever been in like a real big conflict?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we've had a few. And early in life, it was like actual, fist fights, but the golden rule is you don't hit each other in the face.
Yeah.
And the moment someone does, you're like, what?
Did either of you ever hit each other in the face?
Dude, we worked at warehouse operations in college. So anytime someone needed furniture put in their office, desks built, whatever, we were hauling it, moving it. And I'm the kind of guy, unfortunately, where I'll let stuff fester for a while to where then I'll just pop off. And we got into a fight in the warehouse, and both of our bosses were like family, and we got into a bad fight, dude. And he put his hands around my neck, and I was like trying to tell these people like get his hands off my neck, and he didn't, and I just wound up and hit him in the face, man. I did.
Oh man.
And we would act like neither of us existed for probably 48 hours, and then you'd pretend that nothing happened, dude. Yeah. So unhealthy, right? Oh man. So unhealthy, man. That's it. But we had a couple of those fights where then they're dead to you for 24 hours, but then something happens and you act like nothing happened, dude.
So how did that feel when you found out your brother was going to move here?
Oh man, it was full circle moment. It was just as much getting to do life together again as it was he's getting an opportunity that he's been looking for and expecting for a really long time. He's doing a phenomenal job at Vertical Church. But man, I'll be so real with you right now. You had all these expectations of what life was going to look like. And I would say I love having him around. But man, if you're not careful, you might as well live in two separate states. Especially just the season that we're in. And it's the season that you're in as well. You just don't have a lot of margin, man. To even think about just picking up your whole family and your little ones to go have a dinner, it's so much work. And so love that they're here and love that we get to do life together. But man, we're still in a season with little ones where you've got to fight to really do life together with people. I don't know if you've been feeling that in this season, but like sometimes you're just on a little island.
Oh, I've felt like I've been in that season for a really long time. And then people are like, well, why don't you ever come and do this? I'm like, I'm barely trying. I feel like I've been keeping my head above water, my nose above water, so I can breathe for 2.5 years now. And the few moments that you do get a break, you're like, I just want to stay at home and stay on the couch. Yeah. But I am very fortunate that my family is close by, so they're always a lot of times planning stuff for the weekend, so we can just like go and go over to my sister's house or go to my parents' house and kind of let the kids play. And the other thing that we're very fortunate about is all our kids are very close in age, so they all play together. So it's a great way for us to stay connected in that way. But I'm starting to realize so much of the so much of the people that we'll end up spending a lot of time with as we get older are going to be the ones that their kids and our kids are friends, because that's just kind of how it's going to naturally be, or they're on the same team. And I'm seeing this with my brother and his softball. Like, you start traveling, his daughter's softball team, you start traveling more. And so you're just going to end up being around those parents, and how I hope that the kids that our girls want to hang out with outside of their cousins are going to be, people that I want to hang out with over an extended period of time.
So we just need to make sure they're on the same travel teams and sports teams together, dude.
What's the age difference in your kids and your brother's kids?
His son is 3, and our daughter will turn his son is 3, will turn 3 in January. Our daughter is 2, will turn 3 in October.
Okay.
So they're still within a year of each other. And then our little man is 15 months and their little girl's like 10 months. So they're pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just making the time. And then with your job too, I mean, if you're gone that much and all that traveling, that's a lot. And then on the weekends, when most people hang out is when y'all are, getting ready for church and all that type of stuff. So it kind of, there's working at a church, there's a complete wrench in your weekly schedule.
Yeah.
What does your brother see in you that nobody else does? And what do you see in him?
Dang. You didn't give me that question. Dude, I said this about Nate at his wedding, and people that get to know him realize pretty quick. He's a fighter, but not in the negative sense of the word. Like, he is going to fight for the people that he cares about at all times, man. And sometimes people are intimidated by that about him, when he just really wants the best out of everyone, and he wants to see people do well. He is so motivated by that, wanting to see people do well. And so what is, like, again, I think we both have learned to portray ourselves as these big presence, these big guys, football dudes, but like we're very kind-hearted, man, and we're just little kids. We all are. But like, there's a tenderness about him, and I think about me, and the sensitivity that comes with that too. Just want to connect with people. Yeah, that's and awesome. Enjoy life.
That's awesome, dude. Well, I did send you 5 questions to be prepared for, so we can get into those. What are 2 books that you loved and or had a big impact on you?
Yeah, I love this question, man, especially coming from you. I've always admired your love of reading and loved the book club that we did for the summer. Got to read a few good books that I've carried with me to this day. One of them we read together was The Alchemist. I think it might have been Nate's suggestion or someone's suggestion, but that's a book for me that it's one of the 2 that I would say. The Alchemist by Paul Cello, I think is his name. And I still have this image of the man in the book carrying the spoon, and he wasn't supposed to spill what was on the spoon. And then he completes the task, and the author, or whoever he's speaking to, is like, did you notice this on the wall? Or did you notice this on the ceiling? Or did you notice this? He's like, no. And it was like, you're looking to it intently at the task in front of you, and you're missing everything else around you. And then the bigger story of the book is, you're going to spend your whole life searching for something that you're going to end up realizing it was right there in front of you all along. I think that's a beautiful insight into the human experience. Oh,
absolutely.
We're all looking for human connection, but we think it's somewhere else other than right in front of us. And then, man, Viktor Frankl's book, I stumbled on it as like a junior in college, Man's Search for Meaning. And I've probably read it 3 or 4 times since then. And I will stake my life on that word, meaning. I think that we all long to live meaningful lives. And we all want meaning in our lives, but we all don't know how to get it. And so his book, Man's Search for Meaning, this perspective in him surviving the internment camp during the Holocaust, and how he says you could tell who would be alive the next day based on the look on their face. It was just like, whoa.
That's one of the most impactful books I've ever read in my life. I need to go back and read it again, because I probably read it 10 years ago. But gosh, it's such a good book. What's a piece of advice that really stuck with you?
Oh, man, I was trying to think about like some cliche things that people have said, but there's a couple pieces that I think are just so true. And you being a high achiever and a doer, Paul Chinchin would always say there's a Grand Canyon of a gap between an idea and it actually coming to life. And I'm just like, man, I feel like that's so true. I feel that with the podcast that I'm trying to do with my brother. Yeah. And just closing that gap.
You put it out there now, so you got to do it.
I know, that's right.
I want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, man. And just Steve Hendricks. I mean, he always talks about how life is all about relationships, you know, and you see that with him. He's, you know, I've
never heard him say that, but he lives it.
He does. Yeah. And so I think those two things are two insights that I'm just really spoken to me and I've seen resonate.
What's the hardest season of your life that you're now most grateful for?
That's a really good question. And I think that you can attest to this. Raising toddlers is a difficult season.
And yours are so close together in age too.
Yep. Yeah, but yours are
well, I've thought about that. Yeah. And because everybody says, you know, 2 under 2 and but the thing about twins is they're at the same age and the same stage. But when you have one that's a year older than the other, 9 months older, you know, Irish twins are how far apart are yours?
17 months.
17, so about a year and a half. So they're both in a very young, tough age, but they're at 2 different stages. And so I've thought in a lot of ways that might be more difficult because you have one that's right here and the other one's right here, whereas our girls are together, so that it's just like you do one then do the other.
Potty training's happening at the same time for you guys.
Yeah, well, we're not quite there yet. We've tried, but it's just not quite there yet.
That's such a good perspective. You're right. One can get around way more, and one's gonna like, dude. I was alone with my kids this week, and our little girl had an accident. She went number 2 in her panties, not her diaper. So that I hadn't had an experience where I had to change those with that yet. So I put her in her bedroom to get her cleaned up, and my little man was outside on the back patio, and I left him out there. And so I'm finishing up with her. He got my poppy soda can, ripped the tab off of it somehow, was pouring it all over himself, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Dude, that's just our daily life at home, man.
Right? So I think it's a little bit of a layup for me to say this is the most difficult season I'm in. It's a very demanding season, no doubt about it. Walking through my mom's stroke was definitely one of the most challenging seasons as a 17-year-old, not knowing how to handle that. But I'm grateful for everything that it's led me to, for sure. Yeah, the people that surrounded me, the brevity of life, the tragedy of life, but also the beauty in life came from that.
Absolutely. What's something about you that would surprise people who think they know you?
Yeah. So it's so funny. When I first moved to Mississippi, I wore it like a badge of honor, but it was just because I'd just gotten off the plane from Africa. I've realized now that I'm 36, a lot of people don't know that I spent a couple years living overseas, and I lived in Hawaii for a summer. So I love to travel, man. And I love experiencing new cultures. I love trying new foods. People probably know that about me. I'm an adventurer at heart. It's wrapped up in who I am, and I love it so much. And that's what I love about student ministry too. It's an adventure. It keeps me interested. So something that people don't know about me, I mean, I live my life pretty genuine to where people know I'm a little obsessed with Pokemon cards right now, you know, and people know that I love Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and all that stuff, you know. So
I love travel too, and like that moment when you're about to fly to a new place, like that's when I feel that's one of the most alive I ever feel, is when I'm about to fly to a new country or see a new place. I just absolutely love it.
And so many people here in this state, man, are so content just hanging around Mississippi.
I've thought about this so much, and I really think that when we lived in Prague for a summer when I was 5, 6, so old enough to remember, I think that had such a profound impact on me, just seeing that there's a whole nother world out there that's completely different, and it made me want to explore it. And you know, one of my goals that I set a long time ago is I wanted to visit a new country every year, and I don't know if I'm going to get it this year just where the girls are, but you know, I want to pick back up on that, and I want to take our girls to see places like that and give them those experiences, because I think that's one of the most important gifts you can give your kids, is to experience other places and other cultures and give them more context of what life is other than outside this little bubble that we live every single day.
Absolutely, man. Perspective.
What are you most competitive about that has nothing to do with your career?
Shoot. This question made me realize I try to play it like I'm not, but dude, I think I'm way more competitive than your average person, just in general. So, and you'll see it with me. I struggle with some injuries and some nagging pains as of late, and it's killed me to be in youth ministry and to not be the guy dominating the volleyball court or the pickleball court, you know? Because I've just had to be like, hey, if I can't obliterate everyone, I'm just not gonna participate.
Yeah.
So the question was, what am I competitive about that no one else would know?
Or that's outside of your career?
That's outside of my career. Shoot, man. Oh gosh.
Just anything in student ministry, huh?
Yeah, and then you know it, fantasy football, dude. All day. All day, bro. Almost got myself kicked out of our league. Out of the league.
Dr. John graciously allowed you to stay.
I had to ask you. I was like, do you think he's gonna let me back next year?
Had to let the tempers cool down a little bit.
Yeah. Sam Ryden, man.
You get fired up about some fantasy football. It's crazy. You did $20 buy-in league and you just
don't matter. It can be $0, dude.
All right, so we talked about this somewhat, but what has fatherhood done to you since you've had your kids? How has that changed you?
Man, you know, I don't know if you can relate to this. I was trying to process this a little bit, and I don't mean it. So someone else said to me, they're like, I don't think that it might be an issue with me, dude. There'll be moments where I'll forget that I'm a dad. And then I have these beautiful, amazing children. Because you just get sometimes you're like, oh, it's Nick for a second. It's like a split second thing, but it's more of the reminder of what I have. It's not that I forget who I am and what I have, but it's like being overwhelmed with the reminder of what's in front of me. And everything, you see things a lot further down in life in terms of how quick life moves and where you want to get to. Dude, my daughter has changed me in ways that no one ever could. The love that she evokes from me is so special. And I love my little man too. And I'm so excited to see them grow up. And I want to give them opportunities. Like you said, I can't wait to take them along for the ride, wherever that is, whatever I'm doing. But also, man, and I'm preaching 2 times this in July, once for Native Vertical and once at Madison Heights. And I've been overwhelmed with how we believe that if we just take care of our families really well, that's enough. But I wouldn't be here today if that's all that all of us were required to do. And so being a father now, being a husband now, I want to get to a place where I can take care of my family well enough that I can also start to help take care of others as well. And I think we all should have that goal in mind. We shouldn't just settle with my immediate family's taken care of. That's my job. Yeah. And so I want more, man. I want more opportunity to help young people and to help children that don't have
an impact.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because our woundedness can be our story that we can help the most people at. And where you came from, you and your brother, it would make sense that you would have a huge desire to help as many kids that are in that age or in that season or whatever, in whatever way you can. I don't know if I've ever experienced what you say about forgetting that you're a parent, but I mean, you get caught up in your day-to-day stuff all the time, and you just get, you're doing what you're doing. But for me, just about every morning I get up, I have my coffee, and then I'll wait for the girls to get up. And just that moment of being able to go in there and get them up, and then they're so excited to see me every morning, and I give them a hug and give them their milk and go get them set up on the couch. I just couldn't think of a better way to start my day, It's just such a reminder. And then just about every night before bed, we'll sit down and they'll sit in my lap and we'll watch TV before bed.
Man.
It's just it puts everything else in perspective with life, you know what I mean? And they're at the age now where they just love, and daddy, daddy, daddy. This is the greatest sound in the world. Greatest sound in the world. And I know there will be a point where somebody told me this with daughters. He said that you'll lose them in junior high and high school, but then you'll get them back after college. And then I just look forward to all those seasons with them.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of interests, man. You're into fitness,
Yeah.
you're into Pokemon cards, into sports. What do all those things feed you outside of work?
Yeah, I think, dude, man, like some adults, I could be outing myself here a little bit because there's ways we all just have to grow up, like no doubt about it. But I think there are still ways that we gotta keep the child in us alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the innocence, the eagerness, the excitement, the joy, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all deserve to be able to keep that alive in us.
Mm-hmm.
And those things for me, I remember every Friday, our grandmother, our nanny, she would take us to the local card shop and we'd get one pack of Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
And we'd always be so upset because we wouldn't get anything out of that pack, man. But still, like just the novelty.
Now you're ripping 1,000 packs.
Yeah, now I'm just keeping them stored away.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose. No, so I think for me, outside of work, outside of ministry, is I have to stay engaged in things that still turn that light on inside.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want the young people you've invested in to say about you down the road?
Yes. So there is a tension working in ministry where you have to hold boundaries. You have to have expectations for people, but also you want to lead with grace. You want to lead with mercy and forgiveness, and you want to create a place where people can feel safe enough to open up with what it is that they're hiding or they're going through. And I've already made my decision. Like I'm not going to err on being the rule follower guy. I'm not. Because if that was, I think that's a dangerous one to err on, is if you don't follow the rule, you're not a part anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like, man, this is so trivial, right? We do a lock-in where no one's supposed to leave. I told my 16-year-olds, don't leave to the gas station to buy energy drinks. The second they get out of my sight, where are they at?
At the gas station.
Buying energy drinks.
Yeah.
With bags in hand. And my coworker's like, you got to send him home. And dude, he's not wrong.
Uh-huh.
I said to them, if you leave, you're going home.
Mm-hmm.
I did not send them home.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that will bite me in some situations. In parenting, you do that too much, dude, your kids are going to walk all over you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want the young people that I invest in to know Nick never gave up on them.
Mm.
And he was always there, and I loved them the best that I could.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For a young man or woman who's trying to figure out what brotherhood looks like, what would you tell them?
Loyalty is such a big part of it, but I think for Nate and I, man, it's learning how to choose to see from the other person's perspective as well. Because you don't want blind loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
You want a loyalty that sees yourself and the other person clearly and then chooses to love them. Like Nate and I have had some drag out conversations in our adult life where I've really needed him to see something from my perspective. And he's been like, man, I'm going to choose to see that now. And I can understand that now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think understanding brotherhood and in relationships, we're not wired that way. We're wired to be defensive.
Mm-hmm.
And that shame creeps up and you want to be understood and you want to make sure you're not to blame. But man, what do we have to lose if we just commit to seeing from the other person's perspective?
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your podcast.
Dude, we have a podcast that we filmed 3 episodes. They just need to be polished up and edited. Maybe you're a guy
I got a guy that can help you with
that.
that.
So we've got 3 episodes. We have all the footage, all the audio.
He's injured right now. He can't move around. He's stuck behind the computer.
Yeah. So it's called the HC Podcast.
Okay.
And it's a play on 2 different things. We are the Hughes brothers, and we want to help people, young men, any young man that would want any type of guidance. We want to be available for. So the long-term goal is HC stands for Hughes Coaching, maybe, but also we are planting our flag on human connection.
Cool.
So the podcast is going to be all about human connection. The ways that we settle for something that's less than, the things that get in the way of human connection, and what life can look like if you're committed to human connection and you live it out.
So what's the format going to be?
Man, it's just going to be me and him sitting
Just
across
talking
from one
about it?
another.
Cool.
Yep, just talking about different ideas, different topics.
You mentioned before you thought to me one time that you thought about having call-ins and stuff. Are y'all talking about doing that down the road?
We would love that, to where, people can call in and just tell us what's going on in their interpersonal relationships. And we can, the Dave Ramsey, but relational side, like Tony Robbins, you got to go pay tons of money and go to an event. But for us, maybe you just call in and we can help speak a little bit of life into what you're going
when's it going to come out? I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I know. Give me a time. Give yourself a deadline.
No, episode 1 will be out next week, man. It will.
I love it.
It will. It'll be out next week. And you can share it on your podcast when you post.
Well, this will come out in probably a couple weeks. So you got about 3-week buffer now.
Okay. We'll be looking back on this. Look back on this 3 weeks from now. The podcast will be out. And dude, I'm heavier, bro. I'm like 15 pounds bigger because we've been waiting so long to put this thing out. So like my cheeks are more full.
What, you've been eating the whole time?
I know. No, I'm lighter now.
So when you're working out.
When you see these first 3 podcasts, dude, you're gonna be like, dude.
That reminds me of this movie Blue Streak. Have you seen that movie Blue Streak? I don't know. We used to watch it on the bus in college in baseball. This guy goes to jail and he comes out. He's supposed to meet this guy and it's the wrong guy, but it's a real fat guy. He's like, "What'd you do? Eat the whole time you were in there?" What'd you eat the whole time? In between shooting. So what else is next for you, man?
Oh gosh.
What are you working towards?
Honestly, Nate and I are so ready to build this podcast. We're going to be pouring a lot of our extra time and energy into the podcast. And I am still dude, like my brother's at Vertical Church. I believe it is one of the most genuine places of faith that you can find in Madison, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. I would probably be there if I was not employed at a church. Like just being real. I would be going to Sunday morning worship there. I love it. But man, I love my Madison Heights Church family as well. I love the community that we have there. And I'm working on building a vision where I want the young people in Madison to be able to find faith and find a place that's real so that they have a chance to be open and honest about whatever it is that they're going through. Because Madison County, man, it's inundated. These young people are flooded with vices. I mean, the amount of drinking they're doing on the weekends, all of it, the nicotine, the drugs, the smartphone use, like they don't have a fighting chance to get meaning in their life, man. So I'm committed to continuing to build a place where young people can experience the gospel.
Man, that's awesome. And where can people find you, follow what you got going on, and follow your podcasts and all that stuff?
Yeah, so our biggest platform, we'll be sharing all that stuff on both of our Instagrams, our personal Instagrams. We believe like that the brand has to be who we are, and then for me, that it's the genuine nature of who I am. My Instagram, Nick T. Hughes, and then Nate's Instagram, I think is Nate Hughes, maybe. That's where we're most active, and that's where we're going to be pushing out a lot of stuff. We're going to have YouTube and all that as well, but yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait to watch.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Sweet.